It was widely observed that across the 30 local government areas in Osun State, INEC staff and materials, as well as registered voters, arrived early for the polls. This was corroborated in 85.1% of the polling units covered. INEC officials were observed and reported to be present before 8 a.m. Security-related observations. Early arrivals of security personnel. Clean's citizen observers recorded that 19.1% of security personnel arrived at the polling units before 7 a.m. 66% arrived before 8 a.m. and 14.9% arrived after 8 a.m. This indicates that 85.1% of security personnel arrived early at the polling units across all the 30 local government areas in the state. For instance, Clean observed this in polling unit 003, Ward 04, Baptist Primary School 3, Abale, Ifedayo local government area, and PU 011, Ward 09, Open Space, Osun State Polytechnic, Gate, Ire, Bodiko local government area. Security personnel as well as INEC officials arrived after 8 a.m. Possession of firearms. Clean Foundation observed that most security personnel at the polling units, in compliance with electoral laws, were not armed. However, in a couple of polling units, Clean Foundation observers noted that armed security personnel were seen at the polling units. For instance, in polling unit 007, Ward 29, Adeniji, Ila local government area, armed security agents were at the polling unit, and in PU 26 Ward 1, Malam Toko filling station, Saba community, Olorunda local government area, DSS officials were observed to be heavily armed and faces were covered. However, other security men on election duty maintained a reasonable distance from the polling units and patrolled the polling units periodically with arms. Adequacy of security personnel. According to reports received by Clean Foundation Election Security Support Center, 68.1% of the polling units had 3 or more security personnel on duty, while 31.9% had 2 security personnel at the polling units. This implies that all the polling units had a minimum of 2 security personnel. Data from Clean Foundation Election Security Support Center (ESSC) indicates that 93.6% of security personnel are wearing easily identifiable name tags, while only 6.4% were not wearing easily identifiable name tags. Approachability of security personnel. A very high number of security personnel were reported to be approachable by Clean Foundation observers. 40.4% and 53.2% security personnel were reported to be very approachable and approachable respectively, while 6.4% were somewhat approachable. Feeling of safety of polling units. Majority of Clean Foundation observers across the 30 local government areas in the state reported that they felt safe and secure at the polling units. According to the data from the Clean Foundation Election Security Support Center, 55.3% of security personnel were observed to be impartial, 6.4% somewhat impartial, while 38.3% were not impartial at all. Some of the alleged partiality against the security personnel on election duty is their failure to stop and arrest persons involved in vote trading across the polling units in the state. Clean Foundation observed that most security personnel were reported to be of good conduct, while a few were reported to be of fair/bad conduct. Clean Foundation observed across the 30 local government areas of the state that voter turnout was low and later improved in some polling units. However, this can be attributed to the rainy weather condition experienced. For instance, in PU 001, Ward 10, Arimoro High School, Ilesha West local government area, party agents were seen going around to canvass people to come out and vote. Clean Foundation observed the functionality of the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) in various polling units across the 30 local government areas. However, in polling unit 028, Ward 05, Ife Central Open Space, Motion Ground, OAU, Iremo Ajebadele, the BVAS had network issues as they couldn't log in into the portal to verify voters. In OAU, PU 011, Ward 0, Iboku Hall, Oboku local government area, PU 08, Ward 05, Open Space Government Mini Water Scheme, Ifelodun local government area, and PU 18, Ward 14, Fiwashale Maternity Center, Olorunda local government area. BVAS malfunctioned and were replaced accordingly, and in some instances led to the slow accreditation and voting processes because of its ability to quickly identify fingerprints.